I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to say this, but here I am, talking to a camera, trying to make sense of a betrayal that dragged on for 7 whole years. 7 years. That's not a fling. That's not a mistake. That's a double life. But let me start from the beginning. I was 17 when I met Carla. She was in my math class, smart, confident, beautiful in that intimidating kind of way. She wasn't just popular. She radiated control. Everyone wanted to be around her. And somehow I became the guy she chose. First, I couldn't believe it. We started dating during senior year. The kind of relationship where we'd spend every weekend together, text each other goodnight, talk about colleges, dream about our future. We were that couple, you know? The one everyone thought would get married. And maybe I believed that too. But over time, things started to shift. Not all at once, just little signs. She started canceling dates. Said she was busy, studying, family things. Her phone was always on silent. She didn't like me asking too many questions. She'd say I was controlling if I wanted to know where she was. At first, I believed her. I didn't want to be the guy clingy, paranoid, insecure. I gave her space, but the space kept growing. Eventually, we were only seeing each other once a week, sometimes less. She'd show up with tired eyes and fake smiles, and I'd pretend not to notice. I told myself she was stressed, that life was just getting in the way. Meanwhile, I was doing everything I could to keep it alive. Buying her gifts, supporting her goals, holding on like a fool. Then came the accusations. She'd tell me I didn't care, that I wasn't present, that I didn't listen, that somehow I wasn't enough. She made me feel like the problem, like it was my fault she was distant, my fault we weren't connecting. And the messed up thing? I believed her. I actually believed I was the one ruining it. So I tried harder. I'd stay up all night just to talk to her when she felt like calling. I skipped out on friends, ignored my own needs, all to be available for a girl who was never really there for me. What I didn't know, what I was too blind to see, was that behind the scenes, Carla was cheating on me. Repeatedly. For years. While I was blaming myself, she was with other guys, building secret lives behind my back. But I didn't find that out until much later. Back then, I was just a young guy in love, trying to save a relationship that was already burning down behind closed doors. By the time I turned 24, I was a shell of who I used to be. Still dating Carla, still chasing her attention, still accepting crumbs and calling it love. Eventually, I found the courage to break it off. I didn't even know the full truth yet, but I knew something was wrong. Deeply wrong. So I left. I told myself it was over, that I could move on. But that was just the beginning. After we broke up, I told everyone it was mutual. That things just didn't work out. I didn't want to make her look bad. I didn't want to look like a bitter ex. But deep down, I was drowning. It felt like someone had pulled the rug out from under my life, and all I could do was fall. I wasn't angry yet. I was just numb. But that didn't last long. A few weeks after the breakup, I started hearing things. Quiet things. Little comments from friends, some of whom had known Carla even before I did. Some of whom I thought were loyal to both of us. One night, I was having a few drinks with an old buddy, Marcus. We were sitting on his porch, just talking life. He was trying to cheer me up, you know? Typical stuff. You're better off, she didn't deserve you, blah blah blah. Then he got quiet. He looked at his beer, then back at me and said, "Look, man. I wasn't gonna say anything, but since it's over, you should know. She was with other guys. A lot." My heart stopped. I asked him what he meant. He hesitated. Then the floodgates opened. He told me she'd been seeing someone else during our second year together. That there were rumors. That some people knew. That she'd meet guys after class and sometimes during weekends when she said she was visiting her cousin. It wasn't just one guy. It wasn't even two. Apparently, she had this second life. Like a version of herself she kept hidden from me. She'd go out partying with people I didn't know, hang out with guys who thought she was single, sleep over at their places. And the next day she'd come back to me like nothing happened. And here's the thing that made me sick. Some of my own friends knew. And they said nothing. Whether it was out of fear, or because they didn't want to get involved, or maybe even because they didn't want to hurt me, I don't know. But they watched me worship the ground she walked on, all while she was stabbing me in the back, year after year. You ever have that moment where your brain rewinds everything? I started seeing old memories differently. That one weekend she said she lost her phone? Now I knew she was with someone else. That time she came back from a girls' trip and wouldn't let me touch her for days? It made sense now. Every missed call. Every weird excuse. Every cold shoulder. It all added up and it made me want to scream. She gaslighted me so well that I actually apologized to her for not being good enough. Meanwhile, she was out living like none of my love even mattered. I started spiraling. My mind couldn't stop racing. I looked through old texts, old photos. I tried to figure out where the lies began and where the truth ended. But the truth was simple. The whole thing was a lie. All 7 years. A lie. And that's when the rage started to set in. I wasn't just sad anymore. I was furious. Not just at her, but at me too, for not seeing it, for being blind, for letting her walk all over me while I broke my back trying to be the good boyfriend. I wanted to call her. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to go back in time and shake the younger version of myself, tell him to run before it was too late. But none of that would help now, so I did the only thing I could think of. I packed my bags, left town, and disappeared. I needed space. I needed silence. I needed to breathe without her ghost in the air. That's how I ended up in a new city, new apartment, new life. I focused on work. I built myself back up. I didn't date. I didn't trust anyone. I just rebuilt, piece by piece. And just when I thought I had finally started to heal, she showed up again. I thought I buried it all. I thought moving away, working hard, building my own space would be enough to silence the ghosts. For a while, it worked. I was starting to breathe again. I bought my first house. Just a small one, nothing fancy, but it was mine. No shadows in the corners. No memories hiding under the furniture. Just clean walls, quiet nights, and peace. It was raining that night. Hard. The kind of storm that rattles the windows and shakes the sky. I had some friends over. We just finished a small celebration for the house. Drinks, pizza, laughter. For the first time in forever, I actually laughed and meant it. They left around midnight. I remember locking the door, tossing the beer cans, turning off the music. The thunder cracked like a whip outside. The kind of night where you just want to crawl into bed and forget the world. And then, the doorbell rang. Once. Then again. It startled me. No one rings your bell past midnight unless it's an emergency. My first thought was maybe someone left something behind. Maybe a neighbor needed help. I opened the door, and there she was, Carla, soaking wet. Hair clinging to her face, makeup smeared, no umbrella, no jacket, just standing there in the rain like some tragic scene out of a movie. For a full 10 seconds, I couldn't speak. My throat locked, my heart froze. I couldn't tell if I was dreaming or hallucinating. But there she was, after all this time, after everything. She looked at me with those same eyes I once memorized. But they weren't confident anymore. They were broken. And the first thing she said? I'm sorry. Not hello. Not can we talk. Just, I'm sorry. I didn't move. Couldn't. She kept talking. Voice shaking. Tears mixing with rain. I know I don't deserve this. I know I ruined everything. But I've been thinking about you every day. I messed up. I was stupid. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. And when I heard you bought a house, I had to see you. Her voice cracked. Please. I just want to talk. I should have slammed the door. I wanted to slam the door. But I didn't. I let her inside. She stood there in my hallway dripping rainwater onto my new floor, looking around like she didn't recognize the man I'd become. And honestly, she didn't. Because the man who used to love her, he died the day he found out what she did. What she kept doing. The man who forgave her lies, blamed himself, cried himself to sleep thinking he wasn't enough, that man was gone. But now there was this other guy. This colder, quieter version of me. Someone who had built his life back piece by piece and now stood face to face with the wrecking ball that destroyed it all. I asked her one question. Why now? She hesitated, looked down. Because I can't stop thinking about you. Because nobody ever loved me the way you did. Because I don't feel whole without you. She said it like it was some kind of compliment. Like I should thank her for remembering me after she stomped on my heart for 7 straight years. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stared at her and said, "You cheated on me. Repeatedly. Lied to me. Made me think I was crazy. You don't get to rewrite that just because you're lonely." Her lips quivered. She stepped forward. "I've changed." I stepped back. "No. You just lost what you thought would always be there." She didn't say anything after that. Just stood there, eyes wide, like she realized for the first time that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't hers anymore. The silence between us was louder than the thunder outside. She left after that. Didn't scream, didn't beg, just turned and walked back into the storm. And I watched from the doorway until the darkness swallowed her. I thought I'd feel proud, victorious, but all I felt was this heavy, hollow ache in my chest. Like even though I won, there was nothing worth celebrating. Because you don't walk away from something like that without scars. You don't survive 7 years of betrayal and just bounce back like nothing happened. The damage was already done. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Just like that, she was gone again. Only this time, she didn't leave because she didn't care. She left because I wouldn't let her stay. And that should have felt like a victory. Like closure. But it didn't. The silence in the house after she left? It was deafening. I just stood there for a while, frozen in my hallway, staring at the door like it might open again. Like maybe she'd come back for round 2. Apologize harder. Cry more. But she didn't. And the more the silence stretched, the more the emotions came flooding in: confusion, betrayal, fury. Not at her. At everything. At the universe. At myself. At every single day I wasted believing she loved me. I walked into the kitchen and just stood there. My fists were clenched. My jaw was tight. My mind was on fire. And then, without even thinking, I grabbed the nearest thing in reach, a wooden chair. I didn't plan it. I didn't aim. I just snapped. One swingu. And the chair shattered against the floor. Wood cracked. Splinters flew. The legs snapped off like twigs. It didn't even help. I was breathing heavy, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. My hands were shaking. But the pain? Still there. Still rooted deep in my chest like a hot nail. I sat down on the floor, right next to the wreckage, in the dark, and I cried. Not the quiet, cinematic kind of crying. Ugly, exhausted, painful crying. The kind where you bury your face in your hands and wish someone could pull you out of your own mind. I felt like a man unmade. Because it wasn't just the betrayal. It wasn't just the years she took from me. It was the fact that she still had power over me. One visit. One apology. And I was back in hell. That made me angry all over again. You want to know the messed up part? That night, even after all of it, I thought about kissing her. I hate that. I hate that some twisted part of me still remembered her lips, her scent, the way she used to curl into me when she slept. I remembered the nights we held each other after long days. I remembered the way she laughed at dumb jokes. I remembered how safe she used to feel. And it made me sick. Because now I couldn't tell which memories were real and which were lies. Did she ever love me? Was any of it real? Or was I just some placeholder until something better came along? That night, I barely slept. I just lay on the floor in that ruined kitchen, surrounded by broken furniture and broken thoughts, and tried to figure out what the hell to do next. I knew I had 2 choices. I could let this destroy me. Or I could finally start healing. Not the fake kind of healing where you distract yourself with work or gym or dating apps. I mean the real kind. The kind where you look your trauma in the face and say, "You don't own me anymore." It wouldn't be easy. I still wanted revenge. I still wanted to hurt her the way she hurt me. To make her cry, beg, shatter. But a voice in my head, some quiet, tired, wiser voice whispered, "Revenge doesn't rebuild you. It only burns the ruins deeper into ash." So I made a decision. The next morning, I cleaned up the pieces of that broken chair, swept the floor, wiped the counter, opened a window, and then I opened my laptop and started typing the story. Not for her. For me. To take back the narrative. To take back my voice. Because for too long, I was the guy who stayed silent. The guy who accepted betrayal like it was his fault. The guy who let someone gaslight him into submission. Not anymore. This is my story now. Healing isn't cinematic. There's no soft music playing in the background. No inspirational montage. No magical sunrise that makes it all better. It's messy. It's slow. It's a war with your own mind. That first week after Carla showed up was one of the hardest of my life. Every day felt like a repeat of the one before. I'd wake up in a haze, stare at my ceiling, and feel like I hadn't moved at all. Some days I couldn't even eat. Others I went through the motions, made coffee, cleaned dishes, checked my work emails, but I was only half there. My body was moving. My heart was stuck in the past. I kept thinking about everything. Not just the cheating. The gaslighting. The manipulation. The lies I didn't catch. The way she twisted every argument until I ended up apologizing. The way she'd cry when I confronted her, weaponizing her guilt so I'd back off. And I hated myself for falling for it. I hated that version of me. The guy who bent backwards. The guy who gave everything and asked for scraps in return. The guy who believed that love meant sacrificing your self-worth. So I started writing it all down. Every memory, every emotion, every time she told me I was too sensitive or too suspicious. Every time I ignored my gut because I didn't want to lose her. I filled pages with it. Not for a blog. Not for revenge. Just to get it out of me. Then I did something I swore I'd never do. I booked a therapy session. It was awkward at first. I didn't want to be the heartbroken ex crying on a stranger's couch. But something in me said I couldn't keep doing this alone. And in that tiny office, across from a woman who said very little at first, I finally started telling the truth out loud. Not just about her, but about me. How I tied my worth to her approval. How I confused pain with passion. How I thought I could love someone into being honest. My therapist didn't judge. She didn't even flinch. She just listened. And asked one question that hit me like a bullet. When did you stop believing you deserved better? I couldn't answer. Because the truth was I never believed I did. Not really. Carla had convinced me I was lucky to have her. That her attention was something I had to earn. That if she was distant, I was the problem. But now slowly, I was learning. Love doesn't require suffering. And people who love you don't keep breaking you just because they know you'll stay. Still, healing wasn't linear. Some nights I felt strong, clear-headed, focused, even hopeful. Other nights I sat in the dark, rereading old texts, torturing myself with memories of her laugh, her voice, her stupid favorite TV shows. I'd lie awake wondering if she really felt remorse or if she was just scared of being alone. And then, like life wasn't done testing me, I got a letter. Yes, a literal letter. Handwritten. Left in my mailbox with no return address. It was from her. The envelope was wet from morning dew. The handwriting was shaky. Inside, for pages. Written on lined notebook paper, torn edges, like something a teenager would write after a breakup. It started like this. If you're reading this, it means I didn't have the courage to say it face to face. I know I hurt you. I know I broke something beautiful. But I'm writing this because I need to say the things I couldn't before. And it went on. She talked about her mistakes, her regrets, her childhood, her abandonment issues. She talked about how she self-sabotaged because deep down, she never thought she deserved to be loved the way I loved her. She said losing me felt like losing a limb. She said she didn't expect forgiveness. But she ended it with one final line. If there's even the smallest part of you that still sees us, I'll be waiting. I sat there holding that letter like it was a grenade. Because now, after all the progress I was making, she was trying to get back in. And I didn't know what to do. There's a moment in life when you stand at a crossroads and the path isn't clear. When your heart and your mind start a war and you don't know which side will win. For me, that moment was reading Carla's letter. She was reaching out, opening a door I thought I'd slammed shut for good. And suddenly, a tiny, dangerous thought whispered inside me. What if I said yes? What if I gave her another chance? I had friends who tried to talk me out of it. Marcus, the same friend who told me the truth, warned me hard. Vadim, man, don't go back. She played you for 7 years. She cheated, lied, and dragged you through hell. You deserve better. Trust me. I wanted to believe him. But there was something inside me that was pulling the other way. Because love isn't logic. It's messy, it's irrational, it's pain mixed with hope. I called my therapist that week and brought it up. What if I want to give her another chance? I asked. She didn't flinch. Just looked at me and said, then you have to be honest with yourself about why you want that. Is it love? Or is it fear of being alone? That question haunted me. Was I scared of being alone? Was I desperate to fix what was broken? Or did I really believe Carla had changed? I started replaying our years together like a movie on fast forward. Every lie, every heartbreak. And yet every moment of happiness too. I hated that I still remembered the good times. The lazy Sunday mornings, the inside jokes, the way she smiled when she thought no one was watching. I hated that I wanted to feel that again. But I also knew deep down if I opened that door, if I let her back in it, I was risking my peace, my sanity, my soul. The more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't just about Carla anymore. It was about me. About learning to love myself enough to say no. That was the hardest part. Because for years, I had believed love meant suffering. It meant sacrifice. It meant bending until I broke. Now, I had to learn that real love meant boundaries. Respect. Trust. Could I get that with Carla? Could I trust her not to hurt me again? Could I forgive her? I didn't know, and that uncertainty was terrifying. So I told my friends the truth. I don't know what to do. Some nodded in understanding. Others just stayed silent. Because sometimes no advice can fix a broken heart. That night, I sat alone, staring at the letter she wrote, the rain tapping softly on the window. And I whispered to myself, what if I said yes? The hardest part about love isn't falling in love. It's knowing when to walk away. After weeks of wrestling with myself, of waking up in cold sweats, of asking the same questions and never getting answers, I made a choice. I chose me. Not because I didn't love her anymore. Not because I stopped caring. But because I finally realized my worth. I sat down and wrote her back. Not a love letter. Not a plea. Not a battle cry. Just a truth. Carla, I read your letter over and over. I hear your regrets and I believe you. But I can't go back. I can't forget the years of lies, the nights I spent alone wondering where you were, the moments you broke me. You are not the person I fell in love with. And I am not the man who will let himself be broken again. I hope you find peace. I hope you find yourself. But I have to find me first. Goodbye. Sending that message felt like losing a limb, but also like reclaiming my life. It didn't end with fireworks or dramatic confrontations. There were no epic scenes, no big explosions, just silence. And in that silence, I found something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. I began to rebuild. Not just my house, but my heart. I leaned on friends who never judged. I kept going to therapy, learning what it meant to love myself. I started small, reading books, picking up old hobbies, rediscovering parts of me I'd buried under years of pain. Some days were harder than others. Some days the memories hit like a freight train. But with every sunrise, I grew stronger. Because healing isn't a destination. It's a journey. And this time I was walking it for me, for my future, for the man I'm becoming. And that's the story I wanted to share. Because if you're watching this and you've been betrayed, hurt, or lost, know this, you're not alone. You're stronger than you think. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say goodbye.